Good evening, Dr.
Good
Sanjoy
evening.
Chakraborty, the Honorable Speaker of Professor Moni Banerjee Memorial Lecture, Mr. Anup Jha, the Honorable President of our Association, Dr. Chandana Sarkar Banerjee, daughter of Professor Moni Banerjee, Mr. Abhijit Banerjee, son of Professor Moni Banerjee, the award winners of the day, and the participants of today's memorial lecture. Like every year, we are assembled here to pay our respect to Professor Banerjee, who was the founder secretary of our association. And the objectives set by him, we are still working on them. This year is the centenary birth anniversary of Professor Banerjee, which is also an important year, and this event is also important. To start with, I request Mr. Jha to welcome the Honorable Speaker and all the participants.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Dr. Sanjoy Chakraborty, Principal, Government College of Engineering and Laser Technology, Mr. Shushanto Mullik, General Secretary, ILTA, members, colleagues, students, family members of our beloved and respected Professor Moni Banerjee, and participants. I, on behalf of Executive Committee of ILTA, welcome you all to participate in the 10th Moni Banerjee Memorial Lecture. Professor Banerjee was Principal, College of Weather Technology, of which I was one of the alumnus, and today's speaker to deliver lecture to his memory is also one of his established students. Professor Banerjee had 3-phase attachment in GCELT, present name. He was the Calcutta Research Tannery. He was superintendent of Bengotan Institute and finally College of Laser Technology. I need not to place his resume much, but ILTA will remember him as the prior to establish the organization. And to me, in one sentence, Professor Banerjee was synonym to active vibration. Every year, on 15th March, ILTA celebrates the birthday of his great soul by delivering a lecture in his memory by an eminent personality. Moreover, this year the toppers from CFTC and CFTI will be awarded by ILTA for their achievement and as encouragement in their final examination. The lecture of today's title is Exploration of Chemical Science for a Greener Industry. Exploration, to our common knowledge, means thorough examination of a subject or maybe the action of searching in depth of an unfamiliar area. A green industry is economic activity that seems to minimize negative impact to environment. This can be applied to any industry, including the business that achieve meaningful improvements in industry that are currently doing the most environmental damage. The pragmatic view is that the business that significantly reduce the negative environmental impact as compared to the dominant industry practices can be considered as green. In India, some manufacturing companies are green pioneers. Green manufacturing is core to their competitive strategies. The transformation journey to green manufacturing has just started. While there are a few early adopters, the industry at large needs to develop comprehensive plans to address all the important areas, that is green energy, green products, and green processes. The government has got to play enough role to get an effective, to be an effective facilitator in this transformation with both stronger incentives on one hand and monitoring machines on the other hand. The industry associates can bring the different stakeholders together and support the rollout of a communication energy. The price for success is enormous for both individual manufacturing companies and the country as a whole. Anyway, we are fortunate enough that we are going to to share a lot of information this evening from an eminent scientist on the occasion of paying homage to Professor Moni Banerjee, the founder of the biggest leather technology association in the world, the ILTA. With this, I close my deliberation and welcome you all again. Thank you. I now hand over the process to Mr. Sushanta Mulli, General Secretary, for onward program.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Jha. So now we are going to announce the names of the award winners of Professor Moni Banerjee Memorial Awards. The first name is Mr. Amartya Sen, topper Diploma in Footwear Technology Examination 2020 from CFTC Bajbaj, West Bengal. Mr. Paul, please share the photograph. Yes, he is Mr. Amartya Sen. Congratulations, Mr. Sen. So, second award winner is Mr. Danish Akbar, the topper Diploma in Leather Goods Technology Examination 2020 from CFTC Bajbaj, West Bengal. Congratulations, Mr. Danish. And the third winner is, she is present here, Miss Maria Samsi, topper Diploma in Footwear Manufacturer and Design Examination 2020 from CFTI Agra, Uttar Pradesh. Congratulations, Miss Maria. Wish you all the success. Now, we are going to announce a good work by Dr. Chandana Sarkar Banerjee, the daughter of late Professor Moni Banerjee, who wants to donate 2 lakhs rupees to our association in memory of our father. So, thank you, Dr. Chandana Sarkar. We will definitely work with this money for the memory of Professor Banerjee. Whatever we will decide, we will consult with you finally and take the final decision.
I'm really privileged to give that amount, and I hope it will be used for meaningful purposes. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Chandana Sarkar. Now I request son of Professor Moni Banerjee, Mr. Abhijit Banerjee, to deliver a few words.
A very good evening to all of you. Professor Dr. Sanjoy Chakraborty, Mr. Sushanta Mulli, General Secretary ILTA, Mr. Arnob Jha, distinguished academicians and guests, ladies and gentlemen, and not the least, the distinguished toppers, Sri Amartya Sen, Sri Danish Akbar, and Srimati Maria Shamsi. On behalf of the family of Professor Moni Banerjee, I extend our combined gratitude to you all for the privilege of allowing us or calling us to participate in this milestone event. We are here today to celebrate the birth centenary of a great mind, all of whom, all people who have come into, in some way, whoever has come into contact with our father has been benefited in some way or the other. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. This great mind was probably a bit ahead of his time. We, as his children, we have seen that many of his values have been imbibed in us, and most of his values have been imbibed in the many students' lives that he has touched. And just to give you a little bit of background, that how he lived his life, and he never really lost sight of those values. Being a very distinguished student in Calcutta in his undergraduate years, he got the Premchand Raichand Scholarship, he went abroad, all that is known. His biodata is very well known. Dr. Biran Roy took personal initiative in sending him abroad, and he distinguished himself in the University of Leeds. And believe me, when I drove to Leeds University in 2014, and I drove to the chemistry department, there is still a very small plaque which commemorates him. So you can imagine that was pre-war. So it was, it was not that it was written there only for academic success. It is just that he impressed people over there with what he stood for. That I recognized much later when I talked to some of the very old people over there. Post-war, he suddenly joined a youth camp and started building railroads in Czechoslovakia. Railroads which were spoiled or which were destroyed by the Nazi attacks. Now he left his industry, he started working on the railroad. Most people, particularly his family, his father, my grandfather, my grandmother, my uncles, of course, never realized and never appreciated what was going on. But this great mind was building bridges. This great mind was building networks. He was building a library of experiences. And, he enriched himself. He did not learn any leather technology there, but he enriched his mind. He succeeded in opening his mind to the extent that later on in life, he could flower, if I may say so, in many different directions. Some of the more senior people here maybe will agree with me that when sometimes he would sound very impractical, I understand that, but he would continuously flower in different directions. Now, when he came back, he had he stood for a lot of entrepreneurship. I'll talk about that later. He started the first chamois leather tannery in our ancestral property in Tangra, which was doing pretty well. But we still have a letter from the then Chief Minister of West Bengal, although he used to write Bengal in his letterhead. So Dr. Biran Chandra Roy wrote to my grandfather saying that I have heard that Moni Babu is trying to come back to India. Please stop him. Please let him work in Europe for a few more years, gain practical knowledge, come back, because we have not sent him abroad to make money. We have sent him abroad to learn so that he develops this nascent industry in India. He came back, he didn't listen to that. He started the tannery and doing pretty well. We became quite rich actually. But he got the call. The day Dr. Roy gave him the call saying that your scholarship and your being sent abroad was against a vision. And now it is time to fulfill the vision. So nearly overnight, he left everything and Bengal Tanning Institute and then College of Leather Technology and then whatever you see today was born. That is what he was. See, he believed in two very important things. He believed in development and he believed in entrepreneurship. He believed in learning everywhere from everybody. And I think till he breathed his last, or he went into a kind of a state where he couldn't learn anymore because of the stroke. But he was learning till he was conscious to the last. He was reading and learning and making us learn also. And this learning, he applied to entrepreneurship. And today, startups are a byword, or startups is something you hear about every day. In those days, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, nobody heard of startups in India. But this great man was giving birth to startups everywhere. Believe me, some of you may know it, some of you may not know it. But I have been with him to many places because I had to perforce tag along with him. So, some tribal person in Jalpaiguri, some Santal somewhere, some craftsman somewhere with a little bit of money he organized, I don't know how, but set him on the path to entrepreneurship. I don't know ultimately what happened, but he inspired many people to become very successful entrepreneurs. And he never believed in a salaried job. He never let me apply for a job when I passed out also for the first few months. He wanted me to be an entrepreneur, which I became much later, of course. And he was very happy. And that is the kind of person he was. That is the kind of legacy he has passed on. And, even this education, I'm so happy to see that this thing has really borne fruit and we have such lovely toppers coming out of his diploma course, which was his brainchild. You can say, he used to dream about this. That other than the degree, to really spread the business of leather goods to the grassroots, we need people, we need artisans, we need craftsmen, we need technicians. We don't need only degree holders. And so he used to always conceive of these things, sandwich courses and bridge courses, things we didn't understand at that time. But now you will see it everywhere. I'm so happy to see personally that the diploma course is thriving and alive and well. And I'm sure these young children coming out from there are going to do very well in life. My blessings, my best wishes from the family are with them. My mother's best wishes are with them. And we are so happy, gentlemen and ladies, that the legacy of our father lives on so nicely. That you people are carrying this flag so nicely. We really could not hope for anything better, if I may say so. We really could not hope for anything better. And this topic of the day, it would be so close to his heart, believe me. The use of chemical sciences for a greener industry. My father breathed, ate, drank, and lived chemistry in everything. When he taught us cooking, it was chemistry. If we do anything, it was chemistry. He brought chemistry to every facet of life. And the use of chemical sciences for greener earth would be a topic, I know, so close to his heart that it is so great seeing that you are dealing with this topic today. And an illustrious person, a very illustrious person like Professor Dr. Sanjoy Chakraborty will be delivering that lecture. I am waiting all about to hear it. So I will sign off here. I hope I have not taken too much of your time. It has been an immense pleasure being here with you. Thank you. Thank you once again on behalf of the family. God bless you all.
Mr. Banerjee.
Sir.
This is Sanjoy. I'm a student of my sir, our principal, Professor Moni Banerjee.
Yes, Sanjoy Babu.
Yeah, really, I am really impressed by the information you have shared in this webinar. In fact, we shall be really very happy if I get, these material, these contents from you, so that it can be contained in the library and in our publications also, because it is sad whose endeavor and in fact whose drive to make the people more technology oriented, and that is the reason for which you have rightly said I have chosen this material science, because I know this material science is very close to his heart.
Yes,
and
yes.
I shall be really happy, and I shall be really grateful to you if you kindly share this information to me. I shall get your contact number also. Madam Chandra Madam is also there, because we used to be in touch very often regarding some official issues. So we shall be happy to get all these contents of my beloved sir from your end, please.
Mr. Chakraborty, it will be my pleasure to do that. In fact, I remember a few years back in a similar felicitation ceremony, I made a write-up, and my brother-in-law, Gopal Chatterjee, wanted me to write it and hand over to you. So I had made that. So I will fish it out, and then I will add on something to it, because there is some more material also. And definitely I will do something about it.
Exactly, it would be better, because I didn't get any such contents.
Yeah, but that was quite some time back. That was quite some time back.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Banerjee. We are publishing a journal every month for the last 70 years. So what Dr. Chakraborty was saying, if you kindly give us those important informations in a write-up form, we can send to our editor, who will really print it in our journal, which is circulated more than 700 members throughout the world.
It will be our pleasure.
But one word I like, I mostly like one word, what you have said, that he was much ahead of time, like late Sanjay Shem. And that is the reason we are here, and leather industry is developed, and Indian economy is earning so much of money out of it. So there are some pillars out of that. Professor Moni Banerjee was one of them. Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Banerjee. Now I
Welcome.
am going to read one message from Dr. Chandana Sarkar Banerjee. It's nicely written. So I am reading it. As we gather here to commemorate our father, Professor Moni Banerjee's birth centenary, and also to attend 10th Moni Banerjee Memorial Lecture, I, on behalf of our family, thank ILTS President Mr. Arnab Jha, General Secretary Mr. Shanta Mollik for arranging the prestigious memorial lectures to honor our father. These seminars are delivered by us in the field of leather technology for the last 10 years. Our father had a deep sense of social commitment. Besides being the principal of the erstwhile College of Leather Technology and holding important government portfolios, he was emotionally involved with the physically challenged children. Many are trained under his supervisions according to their skills and ability. Being an active Rotarian and having contacts with industrialists and reputed organization at that time helped him to rehabilitate them in a better way. He was also interested from the core of his heart to develop technical skills in the youth. His interest in diploma courses in footwear and leather technology led him to take numerous classes for students even who came from all the way from Odisha. We also had the privilege to join him in trips to Agra and Kanpur to visit the institutes there. He was really interested to upgrade the curriculum for the diploma courses, which were practical oriented and could help develop skills in the youth so that they could flourish in their own business. ILTA is doing a remarkable work by encouraging and felicitating the toppers in various diploma courses in footwear and leather technology. Every year, I feel honored to join the memorial seminar and interact with the young, enthusiastic students who are felicitated on this occasion. As a token of respect to my father on his centenary birthday, I, Dr. Chandana Sarkar Banerjee, the younger daughter of Professor Moni Banerjee, is donating a sum of rupees 2 lakhs, which I sincerely believe ILT will use for meaningful purposes. On behalf of my family members, I once again thank all the persons involved in keeping the memory of our father alive in the younger generation of leather and footwear technologists. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Banerjee. Now I will request our President to introduce the Honorable Speaker, Dr. Sanjoy Chakraborty, to the participants and other dignitaries. Mr. Jha, please.
Member of ILTA, Professor Sanjoy Chakraborty, presently Officer in Charge, Government College of Engineering and Leather Technology, Salt Lake, Kolkata 106, has been serving the institute for more than 3 decades in various capacities. Starting as lecturer to the present Professor of Leather Technology post, along with additional charges as head of the institute since 2016. The institute, Government College of Engineering and Leather Technology, is also his alma mater in other name College of Leather Technology, passed out in the year 1980. His trade is more as an academy rather than an administration is indicative of the fact that he has examined more than 10 PhD theses. Empaneled as an expert member of Research Analysis Board of CSIR, he is also acting as an expert in the selection committee of CSIR CLRI, mentoring PhD students on non-conventional ecology as well as eco-friendly alternatives, empaneled as subject matter expert SMA and TCS ION on environmental too. Today's lecture in the memory of Professor Moni Banerjee is titled Exploration of Chemical Science for a Greener Technology. And I request Dr. Chakraborty to deliver this lecture. Thank you. Dr. Chakraborty.
Thank you, my respectable President, ILTA, Mr. Arnob Jha. Should I start?
Yes, you have been requested.
Yes, yes.
Now, in fact, ILTA is my association. I find myself very privileged one to be associated with such an all India level association of leather technologists. Now, naturally, so it is my association, and I am serving my association itself now itself. Now, respectable President, ILTA, beloved General Secretary, ILTA, what happens? Respectable members, respectable audience, colleague, students, if any. Now, it's a memorable occasion to be present online for the sake of my sir, our principal, during the studentship at Diden College of Leather Technology, Canal South Road, Kolkata 15, eventually who has made me seated in the chair of the head of the institute of the present Government College of Engineering and Leather Technology. We are nurtured by him, got the first-hand knowledge from him. It's a great pleasure and matter of pride for me to deliver the memorable lecture in his name. I have chosen the topic on material science, which his beloved son, Mr. Banerjee, has rightly said, a very interesting subject matter to Professor Banerjee. In fact, whatever I can utter is coming from his teaching. Any weakness on the part of this lecture is absolutely mine. The deliberation as scheduled today is on exploration of already known compound for some otherwise unknown properties. Now, in this stipulated time frame, we shall try to discuss the far-flung features to make relevant for industrial application for a green industry. In fact, here the term green is more applicable rather than the greener, as we need to continue our journey from orange to green industry. So I mean, it is the capacity of this seminar multiplying the speaker. Anyway, thank you. Now, leather industry in its present ambit of conventional technology traditionally uses some chemicals which are stressful to the environment. It deals with bio raw material which are putrefying in nature, decomposable in nature. Processing of this decomposable raw material scavenges the waste from the environment. Chemical processing of this biomaterial makes the environment more friendly to the mankind. Certain features of the industry are already very stressful, deleterious, like the use of underground geology. Any small step of processing requires underground water. No use of pond water or river water or any other surface water is possible to run this industry. This is one of the fundamental constraints of this industry where we are helpless. Please try to understand this is my feeling, and naturally it is my association. I can share my feeling to my association through this lecture. Till date, this industry runs on underground water table, and we process the wastewater to make it dischargeable to any receiving water body, but we cannot reclaim it or recycle it for the processing further. Now, apart from this, depletion of underground water table, traditional use of natural salt for the preservation of this biodecomposable raw material. Actually, it has become traditional. This is the conventional method, and we follow it because it is a cheap method, and that's why we don't think for the replacement of this process. Use of any other alternative may lead to certain level of complicacy in the nature of chemical as well as in the method of use itself. Now, huge quantum of this salt makes also the wastewater saline. Presently, no cheap alternative is there for as a replacement, easy replacement for the preservation process. Secondly, the perennial problem for the use of a deadly chemical in the tannery, that is the sulfide, known as poison in the industry itself, used for unhearing process. Till now, we can get some process of moderation by the use of reducing amount of sulfide use, but no replacement has yet been possible. But explorations are there, which in fact we are sharing regarding the exploration of certain other alternatives, and which can give you better quality also, avoiding the hazards of the sulfide. Now, not going to, in fact, we are having another stigma for the use of chromium for tanning purpose. Still now prevalent because of the fear of concern for the generation of carcinogenic hexavalent chromium. Now, not going to further details of these contents, let us explore a few reagents as possible alternatives in the given scope of time frame. Now, may I request you please to share the screen? Now, yeah, is it visible to you?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Yes. There are a few number of slides. Indeed, I don't know how far you will be able to stick to your chair. Anyway, but this is the something about peroxide, a very innocuous, significant, a viable alternative for the chemical industry, which produces the product by all means which are very friendly to the environment. And this is nothing but hydrogen peroxide. Now, actually, this hydrogen peroxide, it is available in around 98 to 100% concentration. It is available in 3 to 6% concentration. It is available to 25% concentration, even to 35% concentration also for the different purpose of use. Now it has a multitude of property as an oxidizer, oxidizing agent, as a reducing agent, as a bleaching agent, as an antiseptic, as an antimicrobial property. So so many things are embedded in the same quality of hydrogen peroxide. Problem is that this peroxide is thermodynamically unstable. It is unstable. It is so sensitive to some parameters like its stability, its decomposition increases with temperature. Its decomposition depends on the concentration. Its decomposition depends on the pH. Its decomposition depends on the dilution. Not only that, very interesting thing which I have never heard for any other reagents, that peroxide, if you the container of the peroxide, if the wall is harsh, if the wall is coarse, that gives rise to the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. And that's why any container, the container naturally which has to be protected from light because it is decomposable, it is photodecomposable. And as a result, the container by all means have to be very smooth. No harshness, no coarseness has to be there on the wall of the container. Additional property of its decomposition. Very interesting. And interestingly, the transition metal compounds like iron, manganese, titanium, chromium, copper. So all these transition metals, they also give rise to the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. The most interesting, very specific, unique feature of this peroxide is it is ambivalent in nature. That means it can act as a reducing agent, it can act as an oxidizing agent. Both, it can act as both, depending on the pH factor. Usually what happens in the acidic condition, lower pH, it acts as a powerful oxidizing agent. So powerful that even potassium permanganate, which is also stronger oxidizing agent than dichromate, this peroxide can reduce that permanganate. Chlorine dioxide, which we know very well, a very strong oxidizing agent, that can also be reduced by peroxide. Now, this property of hydrogen peroxide to act as an oxidizing agent is possible in the acidic milieu. Now, the same peroxide, if you use in the alkaline condition, like pH 11, 12, all these things, it acts as a reducing agent. And you see from the previous slide, what we see, when it acts as an oxidizing agent, its oxidation potential, that is the redox potential in electron volt, it is plus 1.78 electron volt. In case of dichromate, it is plus 1.33. In case of potassium permanganate, it is plus 1.51. But peroxide goes to 1.78. Such a strong oxidizing capability. On the other hand, in the alkaline condition, if you look at the first equation from the last three series, you will find that its reduction potential in the alkaline milieu, it is minus 0.7. So it can act as both. Now, what happens? Another unique feature, again, going back to the previous slide, you see when peroxide acts as a strong oxidizing agent, it produces water. The product is water. Now, naturally, production of water has no problem in the environment. On the other hand, when it acts as a reducing agent, it produces oxygen. So you see, both are the very quintessential materials for the existence of human being. Water as well as oxygen, both give life to us. So this peroxide, that's why it is called a very innocuous, ambivalent and harmless. Not only that, very much environment friendly reagent, which in any industry, once it is used, it does not cause any harm due to the oxidation or reduction property. Now, what happens? This peroxide, 50 or 60% of the peroxide of the global production of peroxide is used for paper and pulp industry for bleaching purpose. This bleaching is the simultaneous property of the redox reagent like peroxide. What happens, you know? It oxidizes or reduces the color. Any color, if it is oxidized or reduced, naturally it becomes colorless. And that way, organic compounds, present in any substrate, even in our heights and schemes also, if you treat with peroxide, you will get a dazzling white pelt. Because all the blemishes, all the different colors, genetic colors or chemical stains, everything gets lost by the use of peroxide. And that's why this bleaching and redox property both go simultaneously. That is the very beautiful thing of hydrogen peroxide, which if we are able to use in our industry, naturally it will give a very significant throw to the greener industry. Now, about 60% of the global production of peroxide is used for paper and pulp bleaching. Now, look at the other things. The detergent, washing agent, all these things, they also have some bleaching property. Like if you see sunlight, bleaching sunlight, your Tide, your Surf Excel. So many things are there. Now, they have got the brightening property. This brightening property has got, in a sense, some property to bleach the color. That's why Surf Excel produces dazzling white shirt. Anyway, so it produces some bleaching agents like present in the laundry detergents, like perborate, like percarbonate, which are very much used with the detergents that is made possible by the reaction of peroxide with borax or with sodium carbonate or like this. Now, this is the thing which we have already mentioned. Percarbonate or perborate, all these things, they are the bleaching agents. And interestingly, those bleaching agents are active at a higher temperature. Now, naturally, we don't use our detergent at higher temperature, around 50 to 60 degrees. We use it at lower temperature. So naturally, some other activators, which, beyond the scope of this deliberation, some activators we use so that the same bleaching property can be done at the normal temperature. This is a very important chemical equation for the peroxide bleaching. I mean, at the same time, peroxide oxidation reduction, all these things. See, hydrogen peroxide, its pK value is 11.8. Water has the pK value around 14, meaning that hydrogen peroxide has got some acidic property. And that you can very well understand. You use hydrogen peroxide with lime. Use more lime to reserve for the reserved pH maintenance of the liquor. But once upon a time, you will find the pH to come down from 12 to around 6, 7, 8, like this. Such an easy fall down of the pH takes place because of the acidic property of peroxide. Disinfectant. Now, it is an environmentally safe alternative to chlorine bleachers, as it degrades to form oxygen and water only. And that's why US Federal Drug Agency has considered it as universally safe as an antimicrobial agent, along with its other chemical property like bleaching property or redox property or like this. It has got broad spectrum efficacy against virus, bacteria, yeast, even bacterial spores also. Lower level of concentration works against most spores. Higher level of concentration and at a longer contact time will improve the sporicidal activity. Hair bleaching, you know very well. Godrej hair dye is there, and so many hair dyes are there. Now, this hair bleaching, it is very easily done by this peroxide in the little bit alkaline environment, which bleaches hair very easily in a few moments time. And this bleaching property is due to its reaction with the organic stain, organic color like melanin in case of hair. In case of toothpaste, like close-up toothpaste, you know very well, dazzling white smile we get. And there, the use of peroxide is there at a little bit concentration, which helps. Even you can make your homemade toothpaste using peroxide with the baking soda and common salt. This hair bleaching, it is a very known, very well known and very popular property. Advantages and disadvantages. In fact, so far we talked about the advantages indeed. And that's why the flexibility in use and safety profile, all this go in favor of the user. The main disadvantage of peroxide is the easy decomposition of peroxide. And sometimes it produces oxygen radicals, particularly during reduction, which may harm for the aquatic organism. Sometimes it is said, but actually, no plethora of evidence is there regarding the sort of deleterious activities of oxygen radicals has been produced. Now, next one. Next one, please. Yes, it is a safe disinfectant. Naturally, it is an antiseptic as it kills the microbes, and even at a lower dilution also, it can act as an antiseptic, and that's why it is a safe disinfectant. Next one, please. Now, here during our this COVID pandemic, we know all regarding the use of alcohol, IPA. It is, used, in barrels and barrels. What happens? This alcohol versus peroxide, both help in the germicidal activity. Alcohol gives a very, pleasant feel on our skin, whereas peroxide, it irritates the skin, and that's why these two are the very interesting difference between these two. The peroxide, yes, it's a safe disinfectant, but has some irritating action on the skin. Next one, please. Similarly, peroxide plus acetic acid, vinegar. If we use these two chemicals in succession, not mixing them together, then it can act as a better performer for the bleaching purpose as well as for the redox purpose. But if we mix them together, it irritates and it harms the skin, eyes, throat, nose, lungs, etc. Please, next slide. A very interesting, very perennial problem in the tannery, presence of sulfide. Nowadays, we are treating sulfide in the CETP, no doubt. And there we are taking the help of some transition metals like manganese or something. But this sulfide can be treated in the tannery or in the CETP simply by the use of hydrogen peroxide at different dilution. Now, sulfide, its main use as a depellant, and you cannot get the similar quality of pelt. Next slide, please. You cannot get the similar quality of pelt by this substitution. Now, it is such a deadly chemical that up to 0.3 ppm of concentration, you will get the feeling of rotten egg. Up to 100 ppm, you will feel dizziness. You will feel fatigue. Now, once you go beyond 700 or something, you will not be able to understand that you have expired. It entirely unnerves the olfactory system, and which acts as an alarm in the danger situation. So everything gets unnerved, and people unconsciously expire. Next one, please. So this is the question of toxicity. So deadly, so toxic. So and we used to feel this toxicity very now and then. And the major problem, the major source of this toxicity is its volatility. Volatility means it is very meagerly soluble in water. That's why it gets exposed to open atmosphere as hydrogen sulfide gas. And that's why once you enter, not only once you pass through Mantala, you will feel the miasma of hydrogen sulfide gas, in spite of the use of CETP, because this is beyond the scope of the system, conventional system. So this toxicity is due to volatility, and naturally it is related with the temperature. The more the temperature increases, means during summer season, the strength of the smell, the miasma becomes more strong. So that is the toxicity, and you cannot help it. You cannot enhance its solubility in water by simple means. So you have to let it you have to let it go to the atmosphere, where we are helpless. Next one. Yes, this corrosion we are all habituated to. It's our a daily experience, day-to-day experience, where you can see the metals, the peripheral, computer peripherals, even your wirings also gets corroded, which needs the scrubber. H2S scrubber is nowadays available. And naturally that way you can reduce the problem, but you cannot eliminate. Next one, please. Yes. Naturally, sulfide, it is deadly to human being. So obviously it is deadly to microbes also. Presence of sulfides above 25 ppm in the secondary treatment tank ultimately very negatively affects the treatment efficacy. That's why the removal of sulfide before the biological treatment has to be ensured. Next one, please. Right. Now here comes the role of peroxide. Peroxide, yes, you can use it in the acidic, you can use it in the alkaline environment, both. Naturally, but if you treat sulfide in the acidic environment, you don't need to treat it because it in the entirety it exhales to the atmosphere. So to treat sulfide, naturally we need to take the help of the alkaline environment. In fact, the lime is used during unhairing or in the liming process with sulfide to keep the sulfide stable. There is a fundamental principle behind the use of lime. So to treat sulfide with hydrogen peroxide, we need to use hydrogen peroxide in the alkaline environment. Now here a very interesting debate can arise. We know sulfides are very well-known strong reducing agents. Hydrogen peroxide also acts as a reducing agent in the alkaline environment. So you see, both are a reducing agent. Both are having the reducing property in the alkaline milieu. So what will happen? How our objectives can be benefited? The thing is, sulfide is a strong reducing agent than your hydrogen peroxide. And that's why sulfide acts as a reducing agent. Sulfide reduces hydrogen peroxide and produces sulfate. Go to the next slide, it will be seen. Next slide, please. Yeah. Have a look. Sulfide is H2 minus plus 4H2O2. It produces sulfate plus water. So sulfide is entirely oxidized. Sulfate is the maximum oxidation state of your sulfide, and it is very innocuous, it is harmless, and we don't get even a little bit smell of sulfide once we treat sulfide with peroxide. So, and you see, peroxide is such a very useful reagent that in no case it can produce apart from water and oxygen. So that is the beauty of this peroxide. Now, I mean, to reduce its property, to reduce its activating property, to reduce its, I mean, redox property, the transition metal ions can help us a lot. You add little bit of ferrous sulfate. You add little bit of titanium salt. The efficacy of peroxide will go down to base level, 0 level. Next one, please. So elimination of sulfides in the working environment. This already I have discussed during the presentation of previous slide. So we need not discuss all these things anymore. Please go to the next slide. Disinfection. Yes, same thing. It peroxide works as a first step of disinfection, necessary for complete elimination of pathogenic microorganisms. What happens in the sewage treatment plant? We get the treated water, like Howrah, we get it from the Padmapukur water treatment plant. Belghoria STP is there. So in all these sewage treatment plant, disinfection is a very fundamental process we need to follow. And the disinfection, whether it has been complete or not, that is well understood by the presence of MPN, minimum probable number, MPN of coliform. If coliform, the number of coliforms are there in the treated wastewater or in the treated sewage water, disinfection has not yet taken place. So the presence or absence of coliform will help us to understand whether the disinfection has been complete or not. And there, hydrogen peroxide, its efficacy is to eliminate pathogenic organisms in totality also. Next one, please. Uses. So another emerging property by the use of your peroxide is that it reduces the pollutional load of your wastewater. That means the BOD5, COD, all these things, the presence of organic matters, all these things come down severely by the use of peroxide. Because yes, to reduce for the treatment of ternary wastewater or for the treatment of any wastewater, peroxide, it drastically reduces the pollutional load. Next one. And this reduction takes place without any side effect. Go to the next one, please. Yes, paracetic acid. It is also a very component of peroxide. Paracetic acid has a very tremendous potential to use in our industry for the same purpose where peroxide can play its role. So this particular thing is not does not help me to discuss on that particular issue, but it is fact. We have done some lab work, and there we have seen all these things, all these properties of peroxides which can be used in the tannery, and hopefully in the next decade itself, I mean in the coming decade or in this decade itself, peroxide we can see to be used in the tannery as a replacement of lime and sulfide. Next one. It not only removes sulfide, but it also removes the pollutional load of the wastewater. That's the beauty. Next one. What I feel, this peroxide, I mean, chapter on peroxide is over. So we can conclude here with the peroxide itself, not including sodium hypochlorite, which is a very essential reagent in the pandemic COVID-19. And you know very well that hypochlorite, how far it is helping the, I mean, healthcare industry. No, leave that. But okay, deleting hypochlorite from our schedule of slides, we are restricting ourselves to the peroxide itself. And I mean, this is the whole of my thing, what I have seen, what I have gone through, and what I have tested by the use of peroxide. And I would like, this is my objective, is to impress you on the activities of peroxide, on the properties of peroxide, so that we can feel the need of this particular reagent in our industry in the I mean years to come. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I would like to conclude here itself. I'm sorry. In fact, it will help me to come to this dais again in the next year, if of course our I mean my organizers allow me, I can continue.
Thank you.
Can I share some of my experience?
You can, sure.
Okay. So far I remember in 1979 and 80 in Bata, we have been trying to use sodium peroxide. The hydrogen peroxide was not available in Mukama. It was difficult to manage. So I tried in the laboratory with the sodium peroxide.
Sodium peroxide, it is very, very costly.
Yeah, that's right. But we wanted to make an experiment with sodium peroxide. Remember 1979. And you don't believe that unhearing was accomplished within 20 minutes.
Your voice also cuts. Your voice, we cannot get your voice.
The fact is, are you getting?
Yes,
voice?
We can listen.
Okay.
We can listen.
Now the fact is, unhearing was done in 20 minutes time. It's a very fast unhearing. But the difficulty arose because sodium hydroxide was a byproduct of this sodium peroxide.
The system does not allow us to continue because we have gone beyond our scheduled time.
And the swelling was very high. That was the difficulty. Very high swelling, high amount of swelling because of the sodium salt, sodium ion.
Unfortunately, probably we have to close now.
Yes.
The other, I request Dr. Chakraborty to send the article in printed form so that we can publish in the next.
Yes, Shushanto.
And he has explored everything in hydrogen peroxide. Very truly, it's the exploration of hydrogen
peroxide is now black. Peroxide is black now.
Pardon?
Peroxide in my screen is black.
Anyway, article is not black. It's all right. It happened today. We enjoyed it. I request now.
No, but you see, but my joy is interrupted because I could not provide the full-scale thing. Anyway,
Further
no matter-
explanation is there. Dr. Chakraborty, further explanation will be there. So may I request our General Secretary to propose vote of thanks for today.
Please.
General Secretary, Mr. Mullik.
Yes, Dr. Chakraborty, Article 1, we can organize another lecture from you on sodium hypochlorite chapter. It was a very interesting subject. Anyway, on behalf of our association, I heartily thanks delivering Professor Moni Banerjee Memorial Lecture on the centenary year of his birthday. It is also an honor of the Honorable Speaker, as he was the student of Professor Moni Banerjee,
You
like
too.
me, and
Yes.
for him I am also proud of. Our association will remain grateful to Dr. Chakraborty.
Thank you all for patiently
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.